Hi everyone, welcome to sketching. This is day 14 of my 5-minute sketching challenge. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I actually sketched this drawing today by using traditional materials. So I used a HB pencil, I used a mechanical pencil, and just a standard rubber on my normal sketchbook. I thought it might be interesting to kind of like draw using traditional material and then bring it into digital. So what I did was I sketched it out, and today's subject is a Krispy Kreme donut. Of course it is. I actually did this while I was at work in my lunch break. So it took around about 15 minutes to do a quick sketch, and I had to have some Krispy Kreme donuts. It was just one of them days. So on this kind of subject here, this donut, this shape, there's a lot of texture, there's a lot of kind of differing textures, so I just thought it'd be an interesting kind of like object to draw. So again, all I'm doing is I'm using a very, very light kind of grip on the pencil. I'm just kind of sketching, doing rough sketches of the kind of shapes of these little chocolate flakes, and all these little crumbles that are on this particular donut. It's actually called a Lotus Biscoff donut, just in case you wanted to know. So basically, so I'm just drawing out the basic outlines that I usually do, and I thought it's quite nice to kind of change it around a bit, bring some of the traditional materials back in. Ideally, I'm usually a traditional artist using traditional materials, but this kind of move towards digital over the last couple of years has kind of really opened up the arena for me in terms of being able to increase my workflow and be able to work on the move. I would have taken my iPad Pro with me to work to do this sketch, but because it's such an expensive kind of a device, it's just a bit risky. You don't want to, you don't want to effectively get robbed, do you? Because it's £1,000 tablet in your bag. So instead, I just stuck to my old school ways and just took my sketchbook, pencil case with a couple of pencils and a couple of tools. So what I'm going to be doing is, I think moving forward, I might do a couple of these for this challenge. I know this is not a 5 minutes challenge. This is not done in 5 minutes. But I think I'm going to move away from the 5 minutes mark, like I said before in a previous video, purely because I just feel that there's just a lot more that I can do, and I can quickly do in the kind of small amount of time that I get throughout the day. But hopefully, with the Christmas break coming up, I should have at least a week off work where I'll be able to do a lot more detailed work like this, and maybe start it off in traditional and then bring it into digital. We'll see how it goes, but I would absolutely recommend this for yourself if you want to get back into art, or if you haven't kind of done art for a while, or if you're new to art altogether and you want to just kind of learn. The best way to learn is just to pick up a pencil, piece of paper, and start drawing. Draw something. The object of this challenge is not to draw the perfect drawing or sketch, but it's just to start getting your muscles ready and warmed up for kind of like the main projects that you're going to start on. So I've basically finished the sketch now. I've just put my pencils to the side, and because this was set up on my office desk, the tripod and camera was kind of like messing up a little bit, so I think I dropped something at this point, so I think I went to go pick it up, but eventually what happens is now I'll just kind of this picture that I have over here, I just import this into Procreate. And another problem that I had with this drawing in Procreate was because I thought I'd recorded the screen recording on iOS 11, and it messed up and it didn't record, so I just had to do the time lapse. So all I did here was, on one layer I put the image on, and now on a second layer over this I've just started blocking in the colour, and I'm using an oil brush for this from the artistic brushes set that you get in Procreate. And so I'm just adding in the darks using a brownish orangish shade, and then once I've kind of got the overall bold colours on with like a bit of light source coming in the middle and from the right, I'm just slowly with a 6B pencil, I'm kind of using the side of the Apple pencil to come up with a nice kind of rough texture. So basically layering down a darker colour and then on top of that a mid-tone colour, which is this orangey colour that you can see. So it's just in circular motions. I'm kind of trying to imitate the kind of like the crumbly part of this donut on the top left. This type of effect is really good, but it does take a lot of time to do. I mean, this actual painting, if you like, that I've done in the iPad Pro of my sketch, I think it took me around about an hour to complete, but I could have gone on a lot longer and gone into a lot more depth with the detail. But again, obviously, because life is busy, and especially when you got kids like myself, and it's just, you just do as much as you can in the time that you have. So I'm just building slowly and slowly with more darks, and then I'm kind of going in with lights again. I'm just using the same brush, the 6B pencil, and using the side of the pencil and kind of changing the shape of the brush up and down, seeing how the texture is created. And if you have a quick look at the pattern on top of these kind of crumbles, I'm kind of using like a stippling, a dotted effect, where I'm just literally just making random lines on top of each crumble piece, kind of to basically to bring out some of the shadow and 3-dimension of the object. And it's working, and it's worked really nice. I was actually quite happy with this overall effect that I did, especially when you bring in darks and lights and start creating a contrast. You'll be able to slowly see, especially on this time lapse, you'll be able to see like a 3D-ness effect emerging, like very, very slowly. I mean, it has been sped up this because obviously it took an hour, but if you just kind of concentrate on this crumble area where I'm working on, you'll just slowly see a kind of like more forms being built on the crumble, and all I'm doing is now adding some highlights to it. So it's just selecting the same color that I used on the mid-tone and just choosing the lightest value from the color wheel, and I'm just slowly adding in the highlights where the kind of light is shining on the overall object. And I had this actually set up right on the desk, right in front of my multi-screen monitors set up. So the light was, it wasn't very, what do you call it? It's not very stable. So it kept moving. So again, there's not just one, the light source isn't just coming from one direction. So now all I'm doing is on these like white chocolatey flakes that are on the bottom right hand side, I'm just kind of filling it in with the oil brush again, and literally layering it on. So I'm using a very low opacity on the oil brush so that I can kind of like create a variance in the values, because to kind of create a kind of effect of light hitting one side of the flake and then kind of the other side being left in dark. And if you notice, the actual original pencil sketch is kind of pretty much getting painted over, but I have left them pencil sketch lines in. I think it gives it a more rustic feel to the drawing, a more traditional, natural look. And all I'm doing now is just outlining the donut now, the base side of the donut, and just using some cross hatching to really bring out the kind of shape. I didn't want to concentrate too much on the kind of bottom side of it because I wanted to concentrate on the top, and I was really, really happy with the effect. It kind of gave a nice little glow to the overall piece. But yeah, so we're just kind of working in these lines, and I really, really would. I can't kind of recommend this much more, but just go ahead and do this. If you want to get back into art, just pick up a pencil and just pick up an easy subject. I'm not saying pick up a pencil and start drawing a complicated donut straight away, because you might struggle with that. But I mean, if you're up for a challenge, then go for it. But generally speaking, when you try getting into something, you want to kind of start on something basic. So I don't know, just like pick up an apple, because an apple's usually quite simple in terms of shape, and then you can just add in values and kind of experiment with it, and then slowly you'll kind of start picking up some skills by kind of watching other artists paint, and then you'll just become so much more better, and your skills will become more rounded so that you can start tackling those bigger projects that you've always wanted to do. So now all I'm doing now is I'm just adding some highlight with a white colour, and I think I used a gel pen for this. It was a technical pen, actually, technical gel pen, from the inking set. So yes, I'm just kind of highlighting some of kind of the edges where that kind of toffee sauce hard part is on the top of the donut, to kind of like, really make it pop out. Yeah, so I mean, I've really enjoyed doing this, mixing in, a bit of traditional and digital, because again, I mean, I am a traditionalist, and I really like to kind of like, feel what I've drawn. And with digital, that's one of the disadvantages. You can't really feel what you've drawn, even if you print it out, because you're not gonna get texture. But again, it's the experience in the end of the day, and that's what art is all about, as far as I'm concerned. It's the experience and expression and what you're going through. So yeah, so definitely try it out. So all I'm doing now is I've just added a drop shadow, adding some shadows on top of the donut to kind of just bring out some contrast. And yes, so the overall effect was really good on this, I thought, for the small amount of time that I spent. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit long. Thanks so much for your time, and please give the video a thumbs up, and please also subscribe to the channel for more content. Please also share the channel with others so that others can learn, and I'll hopefully see you on the next one. So take care of yourself, keep sketching, and peace.